Okay, so it's continuing to factor. So I do my box, first guy, last guy. There's nothing in the center. Remember, when it's nothing in the center, you square root. One's positive, one's negative. Boom, letter A. Now the difference between this one is because there's a number in front, I have to do my full box. Two numbers that multiply to get 4 and add to 4 are 2 and 2. So 2x and 2x. Let me move this up. 2x, 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 whoosh. Bring up the 2x plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 1. It's the exact same thing 2 times. 2x plus 1 squared. Now, by the way, I know it couldn't be this one because this is all positive, so there shouldn't be any negative in there as well. For this one, I do my box again. It's the same thing as before, but a little bit different. Two numbers that multiply to get 5 and add to 4 are 5 and 1. Since that's negative, that's negative. But since it says equals 0, now this is when you do the opposite. Opposite of negative 5, 5. Opposite of positive 1, negative 1. Same thing over here. Do your box. Two numbers that multiply to get 28 and add to 11 are 7 and 4. But since it says equals 0, do the opposite. Okay? They both have an n. Do your 1 by. Good morning. N, negative 4n, n, whoosh. Bring up the n minus 4. N minus 4 equals 0. Set the n equal to 0. N equals 0, 0. N minus 4 equals 4, 4. So number 30 is just like number 29. Do your box. K, negative 2k, k, whoosh. Bring up the k minus 2. You're left with k minus 2. But since it says equals 0, if you set k equal to 0, you get 0. K minus 2 equal to 0, you get 2. Boom, the answer is B. Okay. All right. This one is not going to be on there, so don't worry about it. Hold on. So this one was when you would have the r squared, and you would split this in half. And then you would go r, negative 7. Negative times 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. That's what I'm looking for to complete the square. Let's go to the next one. X squared. Split up x squared. Half of x squared is 3x and 3x. X, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Boom. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So this problem is similar to these two, where you're doing the box. You do the n squared, negative 3n, negative 3n, n, negative 3, negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So this is just like before, but the difference is that you had that 2 and you had to move it over. So it was n squared minus 6n equals negative 2. And then you had to add 9 to both sides. And then when you look here, n minus 3, n minus 3, and negative 2 plus 9 is 7. Honestly, at this point, you don't even have to keep going, because you know when you square root, your answer is going to have a 3 and a 7. And so that gives you D. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Do my box. And I see x squared. Split up 4x, 2x, 2x, x, 2, 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Just like we did before. But this time I have to bring the 45 over. So I'm left with x squared plus 4x equals, add 45. And now I'm going to add 4 over here. And if you look, x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 2 squared. And 45 plus 4 is 49. Now the difference is when I square root this, I can take the square root of 49, which is 7. Since I know that I can take the square root, oops, make sure you plus or minus, and then minus 2, minus 2. So one of the options is negative 2 plus 7. The other one is negative 2 minus 7, which gives me A. Which means I could have boxed that in. All right, doing the quadratic formula. If I'm going to do the quadratic formula, I'm going to do this on a separate piece of paper, but let me write down the formula. Okay? All right, so if I'm going to use the quadratic formula, which I'll give you during the test, okay? For this one, I identify A, B, and C. And now I use my formula. Negative of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. The most difficult part to me is this part. So I'll take care of that first. Negative 1 squared is 1. And then I multiply all of this. 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24, and a negative times a negative is a positive. And then 1 plus 24 is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So all of that turned into a 5. So negative of negative 1 is 1, plus or minus 5 over 4. Split it. 1 plus 5 over 4, 1 minus 5 over 4. 1 plus 5 is 6 over 4. And your calculator simplifies to 3 over 2. 1 minus 5 is negative 4 over 4, which simplifies to negative 1. So that ends up being 1 1/2, negative 1. Now we'll do the next one. The next one's the same thing. My A is 2, my B is 5, and my C is 3. Use my formula, negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. The most difficult part is this right here. 5 squared is 25. Multiply all of this. I get the square root of 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. So all of this turned into a 1. Negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 4. Split it, negative, I'll rewrite it down here. So when I split it, negative 5 plus 1 over 4, negative 5 minus 1 over 4. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. This ends up being a very similar answer to the other one. So the answer is B. Okay? All right, let's go to the next page. All right, important thing I need to see is that the vertex is 4, negative 3, and it's going up. So I look, that one's not going up. Vertex here is 4, 2, so that's out. Vertex here is negative 4, 2, so that's out. The vertex here is 4, negative 3, so it's D. Same thing, vertex is 3, negative 3, and it's going up. So that one's out and that one's out. 3, negative 3 is here, and this is negative 1, negative 4, so that's out, and the answer is A. Next one. This time, I can't find the vertex right away, so I'm going to have to set it equal to 0. I could do my formula negative B over 2A. So my A is 2, my B is negative 8, and my C is 4. Negative of negative 8 over 2 times 2. Negative of negative 8 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I know the x value is 2. So I'm going to look around here. That means this is, let's see, this is 4, negative 12. That's out. 2 is right here. That's 20. So this would be 10, so that looks like 12. That's out. This is 2, negative 4, so that's a possibility. And 2, this looks like 3, 4, so that's out. The answer C. Next one, okay? A is negative 1, B is 0, C is 0. Negative B over 2 times A is 0 over negative 2, which is 0. Okay? Also, I know this thing is going down. So this is 0, 0 down, possibility. This is 0, 0 up, so it's out. This is 0, 0 down, so that's a possibility. And this is 0, 0 up. So now I know the answer is either A or B. So I'm going to pick a point. So I'm going to try picking this point right here. And that's the point 1, negative 1. So I'm going to take the 1. I'm going to plug it right in there for x and see if I get negative 1. So that means I'm going to go negative 1 times 1 squared. 1 squared is 1. Times negative 1 is negative 1. So this is the answer. Okay. Let's go to the next one. We went over this a little bit before, but if it's like this, it's greater or less. If it's closed circle, it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Since this is greater than, we're looking for an open circle. So that's closed out, open, open, closed out. The number 5, that's negative 5, and that's positive 5. So let's see. Next problem, since it's line on the bottom, it's a closed circle. Closed circle, no, no. Looking for the number 1, 1, 1. But since it's less than goes to the left. Let's see. All right. 43 and 44 are just like the ones in the beginning where you're solving for x. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Draw my line. Put the same together. 8x is less than negative 8. Divide by 8. X is less than negative 1. This is the same thing. Put the same together. So I get negative 9x plus 1 is less than 19. Do the opposite. Divide by negative 9. But here's how it's different. Anytime you divide by a negative, your inequality switches direction. So it's going to be x is greater than negative 2. This one is actually not bad here. Square root, square root. Remember, there's always 2 answers. It can't be A. In order to square root, first let me rewrite this. Subtract 2. And square root equals 4. Now, square root, square root. Square root of 4 is 2. Done. Okay. These problems are also the quadratic formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it, and I'll show you the work for each of them. So this one gave me big numbers. And when I have the square root of 465, I come over here and I go second squared of 465 because it's really big. Problem is it gives me a decimal. Since it gives me a decimal, that just stays. Negative of negative 3 is 3, plus or minus the square root of 465 over 12. So I'm going to come over here, look for 465, and that's B. I'm going to pause it and do the same thing over here. So I get the square root of 96. So I go second squared of 96. It doesn't work perfectly, so I leave it. Negative of negative 2 is positive 2, plus or minus the square root of 96 over 2, which ends up not being there. So if that's the case, I haven't taught you how to do this. So hold on. So if this ends up happening, what you're going to end up doing is whatever numbers that is, just divide it. And that's a 1 and that's a 1. So find the one that has a 1 in the front, and the answer is D. Okay. All right, let's go to the last two. This is when, if it was greater than or less than dashed, greater than or equal to or less than or equal to solid. So when you look here, because of this line on the bottom, it's solid, 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 solid. So that didn't help. And then I know that since it's greater than, I'm going to be shading up. So this is up, this is down, this is up, this is up. So now I look, I go down 3, that isn't down 3, so it's out. This is down 4, so it's out, so the answer is D. Last one, down 5, that's down 5 because it's between 4 and 6. This was right 5, that's out, down 5, and down 5. But then we have to look, we have to go up to right 5, up to right 5, up to right 5. That one's out.